part 2. This is part 2. He that rules over men must be just. This is part 2. Thank God for this beautiful Sabbath day. According to Isaiah chapter 65, the Sabbath day will be kept in the new world with peace and joy and got no end. Amen. Now this is going to be part 2 of he that rules over men. 2 Samuel 23, verses 2 through verses number 4. The Bible says, he that rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. That's the problem that we have in the world today, is that you can't find nobody that rules in the fear of God. Every ruler wants to be a dictator. And what a dictator does, he kills people. That's what he does. He kills people that he thinks that is against his wickedness. He murders people. And he has a beast heart. He has the heart of an animal. When Hitler murdered the Jews, he had the heart of an animal and he was a dictator. Putin killed people and put people in prison for protesting against the war in Ukraine. That's what a dictator does. He puts you in prison and have you executed. He killed people that is in his own country. He murdered them. And he doesn't care. Because he's a dictator. Dictatorship. Like old King Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible, he was a dictator. He killed a lot of people. Murdered and killed them because they didn't agree with him. That's bad when you live in a country under dictatorship. Bring a government to a monarch's government, triumph. Turn the earth into a turbulent world, a world of chaos and disorder. Like the president of North Korea, he killed his own uncle. He shot his uncle through the head. That's bad, ain't it? Killed his own uncle. But the Bible says he that rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. People don't do that no more. The United States and all nations have forgotten God. What you think about that? 2 Samuel 23 verses 2 through 4. In 1 Samuel 13:14, Saul disobeyed God. He wasn't ruling in the fear of God. And therefore Saul lost the kingdom. 1 Samuel 13:14. Samuel was a prophet that spoke in the fear of God. 1 Samuel 12:22 through verse number 25, the prophet Samuel. He that rules over men must be just. Just means he must be holy. He must be filled with the Spirit of God that rules over men. He must be just. Do those things which are right. And he also must fear God. Whether he be a king or ruler, governor, or judge among the nation, whosoever he might be, if he's a ruler, he must rule in the fear of God. If you don't rule in the fear of God, he will kill you. I'm mighty afraid it's coming to the United States. They're going to kill you. When the Catholic Church come back into power for this in the last age of the gospel, they're going to rule with power and authority. They're going to kill people. In this last age. Like they done in the dark age, they kill people. In St. John, the 16th chapter, St. John, the 16th chapter, verses number 2. St. John 16:2. They shall put you out of the synagogue. Yea, the time is coming that whosoever kill you will think they do God a service. St. John 16:2. When a man become a dictator, he kill you and think he's doing God a service. That's what he thinks. A religious power that kills the saints of God and kill people. But yet, think they're doing whatever is right. Because their mind is spiritually confused. Their mind is spiritually confused by satanic demons. Therefore, when they kill you for living right with God, they think they're doing the right thing because they live in wicked. Look at society. Look at the world today. Look how wicked people live and think they're right with God. Look at the wicked churches in the United States and around the world. And they're talking about they're right with God. There's more adulterers and fornicators in the churches than it is at the juke joint, the nightclub, and the ballroom. And snuff dippers and backwarders, and lesbians, and homosexuals. Now, what you think about that? And they think they're worshiping God and doing God a service by going to church on the first day of the week. The Bible says he that rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. What is the fear of God? The fear of God is to be afraid to do anything that's wrong, that you think that is against God. You're afraid of God because you know what God's going to do to you if you disobey Him. That's why Jesus Christ feared God. Jesus Christ was not God, Geno Jennings, but he feared God. John hated, and all the rest of the hypocrites that say that Jesus is God. People ain't got a foot to stand on. Go to bed lying in the wake up line because they fear not God. Neither do they rulers fear God. And the kings and the queens and the governors. They do not fear God. And neither do they keep His law. That's why they kill you. St. John, the 16th chapter, verses number 2 and 3. They think they're doing God a religious service by killing you. The Apostle Paul thought that he was doing God a service when he was killing the saints. And if God wanted to stop Paul from killing the saints, he'd kill them all. Nobody else tried to stop him. The high priest didn't try to stop him because he gave Paul the order to kill the saints. Told Paul to kill him. He thought he was doing God a service. He was a high priest, a religious power persecuting the saints of God. Now, what do you think about something like that? That lets you know that a man don't believe in God's law. The churches of the United States don't believe in God's law. That's why they kill people. That's bad. 23rd chapter. Acts 23, verse number 1. And Paul urgently, beholding the council, said, Men and brethren, I have lived a good conscience before God until this day. And the high priest Ananias commanded them that stood by to smite him on the mouth. He slapped Paul. Slapped him right in the mouth. And it was the high priest. Now what do you think about that? A religious man slapping another man. Having him to be slapped. What do you think about a dictator that rules over men ungodly? If a Christian go around murdering and killing people and think he's doing God a service, what do you think about a non-Christian? You take a religious power. People that rule with a religious power, they kill people. Especially those that keep Sunday for the Sabbath. Not only that, those that keep the Sabbath day, they'll kill you too. Not only the Sunday keeper, but I want to say that the Sunday keeper killed all the Sabbath keepers. Now when somebody, a Sabbath keeper killed, there's another Sabbath keeper. A Sunday keeper will not kill another Sunday keeper. Now what you think about that? You can see that right here in Acts chapter 23 and verse number 1. Now what do you think about that? The man that was standing by Paul slapped Paul in the mouth. And they that stood by, Acts 23 and 4, after they had commanded Paul to be slapped in the mouth, Acts 23, 4, and they that stood by reviled thou God's high priest. Ain't that something? That's bad. In Acts, the 24th chapter, verses 1. And after 5 days, Ananias, the high priest, descended with the elders and with the certain orators, named Tertullus, who informed the governor against Paul. The high priest, Ananias, same one that had Jesus Christ crucified. Would you believe a religious power that posed to announce God would kill people? Just like the United States government talking about Trump going to bring everybody back to God through the Catholic faith. The Catholic faith is a religious power that kills people, that rules over people. The Bible says he that rules over men must be judged, ruling in the fear of God. The high priest was ruling over people, but he did not rule in the fear of God. They will kill you and think they're doing God a service. But they gave Paul the orders to kill the saints. Then after Paul turned away from his sin, and Jesus Christ met him on the way to Damascus, and turned Paul's mind around, then the high priest said, kill Paul. Ain't that something? He gave Paul the orders to kill the saint. Then when Paul quit killing the saint and gave his life over to God, then the high priest said, y'all kill Paul. This is the world of confusion we're living in. And the world of illiteracy and ignorance. And the black man is at the bottom of it. It's foolishness that you see going on in the world. He's an idiot. Voting for a man that wants to become a dictator. Voting for his enemies to rule over him. He's an idiot. He doesn't know God. And he don't want to know God. He doesn't believe in God. He believes in rap and hip-hop. Just like the people of Africa. Fighting one another, killing one another, pirates. Somalian power. Black men making themselves power fighting over there in or Haiti. They don't know God. In the United States, they don't know God. And in faraway countries, they don't know God. And all the rulers and all the governors of the world and the kings and the princes, they do not know God. They don't know him. Jesus Christ said they'll kill you. And think they're doing God a worship service. Just like the Muslims, the same way. A religious power that persecute God's saints. That's bad. Over in the book of James. Let's go there for a minute in the book of James. In the book of James, chapter number 2. James 2 and verses 8. If you fulfill the royal law, according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, ye do well. James chapter 2, verse number 8. But who live by that? Who love their neighbor as themselves? Who keeps the royal law? Jesus Christ said in St. John chapter 16, verse 2, the time is coming, whosoever kill you will think that he doing God a religious service. They're talking about a religious person killing another religious person. Because he don't love his neighbor as himself. No, he don't. That's why me and black people can't get along with one another. We don't like one another. And we never will, as long as the world shall stand. That's why I'm by myself in the gospel. For 38 years, I've been by myself, 37 years. 37 or 38 years. When I open up the Bible, everybody scattered like a covey of quail. They run from the Holy Scripture in the state of Georgia. Now, what you think about that? The Bible says he that rules over men, over people, must be just ruling in the fear of God. Whether it be a king or any kind of ruler. 2 Samuel 23, verses 1 through verses number 4. In James chapter 2, verse number 8, thou shalt love thy neighbor thyself. Back in the Old Testament, Moses killed a man. Because it was an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth back then. It ain't like that no more. Love your neighbor yourself. People don't do that. Me and black people, we don't even like each other. Now what we going to do about that? Like the Seventh-day Adventist Church, telling people to keep the 10 Commandments. They don't even love their neighbor as themselves. And how you going to tell somebody to keep God's law? You ain't keeping it yourself, Seventh-day Adventist. You hypocrite. The only commandment y'all want is the Sabbath. You keep the Sabbath, but all the rest of them laws you don't want. You're no more than a Baptist church or a Methodist church or Church of Christ or Church of God. You're evil also. Evil is in the hearts of the sons of men. They don't love their neighbor themselves. If they did, men and them could get along with each other. I can't get along with these people. I don't have nothing to do with them, and they don't have nothing to do with me. Now, what you think about that? I don't go along with their adulterous affair. I don't go along with women coming to church with the dress up their thighs. Coming to church without wearing the head covering. Come to church married to another man's wife or another woman's husband. That's what got me and you separated. I don't believe in no foolishness and ignorantism and nonsense. But yet they say Preacher Presley is an idiot. They call me an idiot till I preach a bunch of nonsense. And the same thing over and over again. You commit adultery over and over again. You stealing over and over again. You lying over and over again. You've been going to that man's wife over and over again. Then talk about, I'll preach the same thing over and over. You ain't got no sense at all. The Bible says, he that rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. These rulers in the world today, they don't rule in the fear of God. They will kill you. The Bible says, love thy neighbor as thyself. James chapter 2, verse number 9. But if you have respect to person, you commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. See that? Don't have no respect to person. Preacher Presley, yeah. Get up out of that seat before I kick it out from under you and let Donald Trump sit down. With your stupid self. Kick Preacher Presley out the door. You have respect to person? Preacher Presley, get up. And let Michael Jackson sit in that seat. Poor devil, you. She just have respect to person. Respect one man and disrespect another. James chapter 2, verses number 11 and verses 10. Whosoever shall keep the whole law, yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. But verse number 11, James chapter 2, for he that said, do not commit adultery, said also, thou shalt not kill. Yet, if thou commit no adultery, yet thou kill, thou become a transgressor of the law. Think about that, you people that go to church on Sunday that say you ain't under the law. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know which law Paul was speaking about when he said you ain't under the law. You have no clue. That's why you fornicate and commit adultery. That's why we kill one another. The church is this religious system. Teaches that Jesus Christ died on the cross and done away with the law and gave us the green light to kill one another and go to the other wife because he done away with the 10 Commandments. Boy, that's messed up, ain't it? They have the mind of an ungodly person. All the churches, they're ungodly. That's why the man that rule over men, he rule over men ungodly because the commandments and the laws of God is not in his heart and mind at all. What you think about that? We're looking in the last age at a religious power that rules over men, that kill people. We go to Revelation, the 13th chapter. In Revelation, the 13th chapter, we begin reading at verses number 1. Not a power that rules over men, but don't rule in jest. They don't rule with just power. They're not just. It's religious power that rules over men. Just means you must rule over men in righteousness and holiness. You must be a righteous person to be just. But you can't find nobody. In Revelation 13:1, I stood upon the sand of the sea and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Revelation 13:1. So what John seen, he seen a beast. And that beast was a whole company of people. But it was a dictator ahead of this beast system. And that dictator was called the man of sin. And he ruled over men, but he didn't rule just. He didn't rule in the fear of God, this beast that ruled over men. Revelation 13:1. In Revelation 13 and verse number 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. This number is 666. So we know that this beast is not Obama. If you calculate the number of Obama's name, you will not come up with 666. If you calculate the number of his name, you won't come up with no 66 of anybody in the United States. Because the United States did not come up out of the sea. The United States came up out of the earth. A persecuting power that come out the sea. Revelation 13:1. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea having 7 heads and 10 horns. We're looking at 10 world powers over there in Europe, the European Union. And we're looking at the name of blasphemy. So we're looking at NATO. The 10 United States, which we call Rome and the Holy Roman Empire. And above the Holy Roman Empire, there is a man that rules over men. Revelation 13:18. If you count the number of the names, you got to go back to Rome. You got to count in the Roman numerals because the man is a Roman. And you got to count the number of his name in Roman numerals. If you don't do that, you won't get it. It says, Revelation 13:18, it says, here is wisdom. Here is knowledge and understanding of a man that can count the number of the beast. You can't do it because you ain't got no wisdom and knowledge and understanding to calculate the number of his name. Because you don't know what his name is. Because you ain't got the wisdom of God. Revelation 13:18. He's a religious dictator. And by peace, he killed many people. Now, what you think about that? So we got to go to somebody that has an understanding. Revelation 13:18. To let them calculate the number of his name. There are many men got names. People give people names at birth. But his name is not no name that is given at birth. That's not his name. There's too many Johns and Paul and David. There's too many George. There's too many Samuel and Luke, Mark. There's too many people in the world got names. And if you calculate everybody's name that you know in the world as a world leader, you will not come up with 666. You can't do it. Because his name is not a name that's given to him at birth. And he rules over men, but he do not rule in the fear of God. According to 2 Samuel 23, verses 1 through verse number 4. Revelation, the 13th chapter, and verse number 1. Upon his head was the name of blasphemy. He got 7 heads. And then wrote on his head the name of blasphemy, which means he blasphemed against God and called God all kind of insulting names. Revelation 13:6. In Revelation 13:6, he opened his mouth and blasphemed against God and his tabernacle, which is God's church, and them that dwell in heaven. Spoke all kind of monster things against God. Monster things against God's church, and killed them. Revelation 13:7. And it was given to him to make war with the saints. They say the saints, now they say no Christian. A saint is not a person that go to church on the first day of the week. That's not a saint. A saint keep the 10 Commandments. They go to church on the Sabbath day. Saint. Revelation 13:7. And it was given to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him of all kinds of tongue and nation in religious matters. He's a dictator. He's a religious, fanatic, evil, wicked man. That is the Pope of Rome and the Catholic Church. You go back into history, and the only religious power that murdered the saints of God was the Catholic power against those that kept the 10 Commandments. Kill all those that kept the Sabbath day. And it's going to do it again in the near future. How we know it was the Pope in the Catholic Church? Revelation 13:18, it says, here is wisdom. Calculate the number of his name. You will come up with 666. The man is a Roman. You got the count in Roman numerals. And his name ain't a name that given to him at birth. Jesus Christ said he came in the name of God. He said he came in his Father's name. Jesus Christ said in Revelation the 19th chapter, speaking about a name, in Revelation the 19th chapter, verse number 12, his eyes were the flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written. Calculate the number of his name, that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with his vesture dipped in his blood, and his name was called the Word of God. Talk to me. So this beast's name is called the name of blasphemy. He is against God. The Pope of Rome is against God. The Roman Empire and the Vatican City. They murdered and killed over 50 million people in the dark ages of the past. A system of corruption where they don't fear God. He that rules over men. all kingdoms and nations of the world. Power was given to him. Revelation 13:7. And it was given to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given them over all kingdoms and tongue and nation. But the Bible says he that rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. We're looking at a power that do not rule in the fear of God. And it's a Sunday-keeping power. And it's a religious power. Not only is it a religious power, but it is a political power. And it has 10 horns connected to it, 10 kingdoms. Giving Rome power and authority under the leadership of the Pope. 10 united kingdoms of Europe, the European people. And the president talking about bringing us back to the Catholic power. When you come back to the Catholic power, you are coming back to a religious power that murder and persecute the saints. Revelation 13:6. And he opened his mouth against God, blaspheming his name. Revelation 13:7. It was given power to him to make war with the saints. It was given to him. Satan gave it to him. The devil. Kill all those like the Apostle Paul was killing the saints. Paul said he persecuted the church of God and wasted it. Because power was given to him to do that by the devil and by the religious leaders of that time. Talk to me. And Paul killed the saints of God and thought he was doing God a service. Like when the Pope murdered John Huss, Wishart, William Tyndale, they all had their affair with the Catholic Church, and Martin Luther and John Wesley. So many of them were murdered and killed by the papers. And they were ruling over men, but they didn't rule in jest. They didn't rule in the fear of God. But they ruled it ungodly. See that? When you rule ungodly like that, you must be destroyed. This is Preacher Presley, and I'll be back with part 3 of He That Rules Over Me.